Freddy Krueger has been one of many horror icons to enter the realm, and Freddy is by no means an unpopular character. Freddy for the longest time has been considered one of, if not, the worst killer in Dead by Daylight to date. This would be true if Skull Merchant didn't get butchered. But recently, Freddy got a whole new rework, making him more powerful and honestly, more fun to play. So, with this rework in mind, I wanted to go through Freddy's history in the realm and compare each state Freddy was in, and compare to how he is today. Thus, I bring you the glory of Freddy Krueger. It's October 2017, and Freddy Krueger was just announced to join the realm alongside Quentin Smith in the Nightmare on Elm Street chapter. People were so excited. Freddy Krueger is such a horror icon. People love him. But as soon as Freddy dropped, people found out his power was very simple yet very underwhelming. His whole power was setting survivors to sleep over the course of 7 seconds. While survivors were awake, Freddy wasn't even able to hit them. Survivors pretty much had God mode while Freddy wasn't putting survivors to sleep. Freddy didn't even have dream snares or pallets at the time. So when you put someone to sleep, you're basically a trapper with no traps. Just Sharp Hand Joe going after the nearest survivor. But that's not the worst thing that happened with Freddy's power. When survivors were asleep, it was very easy to counter it. Whenever a survivor was asleep in the dream world, all they had to do was fail a skill check to wake up, or find another survivor to wake them up for them. This was not hard to do at all considering how good self-care was back in the day. What people did was run self-care, and then once they ran self-care, they would loop Freddy, go to the nearest loop, drop the pallet, wait to see if Freddy breaks that pallet, use self-care, and then all of a sudden they wake up because they failed the skill check. Freddy could also see the auras of survivor that are outside of his terror radius. He could see them for 1 second after they left his terror radius, beyond the range of 16 meters. But one thing that made Freddy have some sort of chance at all is that all survivors had a 50% reduced action speeds to everything, making generators take 160 seconds. Keep in mind though, this only applied to sleeping survivors. And this was very easy to get out of, so this all was just basically useless. Although, against some of the bad survivors in the game, no offense to anybody, Freddy could get a lot of free hits. Survivors had the God mode, but then Freddy could just hit them as soon as they fell asleep after 7 seconds. So it was just a counting game. Freddy was pretty weak though. Overall as a killer, not too entertaining to watch, not too entertaining to play. It was basically just looping a trapper that had no traps. As Survivor though, I do want to say the experience did feel pretty immersive. You couldn't even see Freddy, and all you heard was his lullaby when he was within 24 meters of your location. This also makes you wonder how close Freddy is and what he's going to do. Is he going to put you to sleep? And if he does, what's he going to do? Although, you could just not care about the power though. You basically were in control when you're playing against a Freddy. And honestly, he wasn't even that good to play either. Freddy was really bad. Survivors had the upper hand at least 90% of the time, and you can even run Red Paintbrush. As many familiar, Red Paintbrush before this rework made it so all survivors start the trial asleep, and you can't wake up via skill checks. It was something way drastically worse. So Freddy was basically just running really weird add-ons. Come a few patches later, Freddy would eventually get some changes to his kit. Now, considering how you think the killer plays out now, compared to how Freddy compares to today or older Freddy, what do you think these changes would consist of? I'll tell you what. 4 nerfs. Nerf number 1. Increase the amount of time for a survivor's aura to be revealed after leaving the terror radius from 1 second to 10 seconds, which is 10 times longer than before. Nerf. Increase the terror radius from 16 to 24 meters. Nerf. Increase the movement speed penalty after tagging a survivor with his power from 1 second to 3 seconds. That's another thing I forgot to mention. For some really weird reason, they gave Freddy a movement speed penalty after tagging a survivor with his power. I guess it's to help counter the fact that Freddy could just get free hits somehow. And then the last nerf, dying state survivors who are healed to injured are immediately woken up. After these changes came in, it really made it look like behavior made it seem like it heavily catered towards the survivor side of the game, as a lot of new players at the time that went against him said he was too OP due to his invisibility and free hits. All this came from the Steam reviews. The killer community also took these changes to heart, and some killer mains completely switched to survivor, or literally just stopped playing entirely just because of how horrid Behavior's balancing team actually was. All these changes just made it seem like, why not just benefit survivors instead of killers? At least that's how it looks like to me. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, Behavior's balance team is still kind of bad. There is some getting better though, I will happily admit that. But all this would change with Freddy's first ever rework in 2019. Freddy's been the lowest of the lows, the trashiest of trash, the sharpest hand with the dullest of claws, Joe. This all changed with his new rework that came in 2019. Freddy was pretty much an entirely new killer aside from a few things remaining, such as the Dream World. Freddy's new kit was as follows. Awake survivors see the nightmare always within 16 meters, intermittently within 32 meters, and not at all beyond that. Survivors experience microsleep, passively falling asleep within 60 seconds. Sleep survivors now have another way of waking up by interacting with the newly introduced alarm clock. These were personal to each survivor, so you could be on one corner of the map and the alarm clock could be in the other corner. You have to go to that specific alarm clock. It switched when the terror radius or lullaby is heard. So the lullaby would be in the dream world, and the terror radius in the real world. The wake up action now takes longer if it's performed more than once on the same survivor. This would also stack more than once an infinite amount of time to make it take way too long, resulting to having to use the alarm clock. The nightmare now places dream traps as his main power, and he can also teleport to unrepaired generators using dream projection. All this made Freddy seem like he has a lot more to use and more presence than ever before. Freddy's dream traps consisted of dream snares and pallets. Dream snares were a stationary object that stayed on the ground permanently, and any survivor that ran over one was slowed by 50% and would scream. This was mainly the more preferred method to use for Freddy, as he would be able to just slow survivors and be able to catch up to them via these little snares that you would place on the ground. Dream pallets were interesting on the first few weeks of release though. At the time, dream pallets was something cool, as they were all new and they were fake pallets, meaning to mess with the survivor's brain. Although a cool concept, these were only accessible via one of 3 add-ons. These were being Garden Rake, Prototype Claw, and Paint Thinner. Freddy also had a teleport now. It took 4 seconds to work, and survivors could see where he was warping via a husk and blood coming out of a generator, simplifying where he would come from. This made Freddy an actual usable killer, instead of Sharp Hand Joe slashing his way at Mach 0 speeds. The survivor side of the gameplay was more, I would say, gone not as stale as 2017 Freddy, but it still definitely sucked to go against just because Freddy's power was just really boring. But at least it wasn't completely counterable. At least it didn't have a power you could just shut down always. So with Freddy's changes and add-ons that got changed, thus came a new playstyle that was generally frowned upon. Thus, I bring up everyone's favorite playstyle, Forever Freddy. Now, I don't know if you guys remember Forever Freddy at all, but it was such an absolutely abysmal playstyle. Not because it was bad, but it was because it was so good that it made games last way too long. Way too long. It was really boring. I didn't play at the time, so a lot of what I had to say probably won't matter, but I have heard my fair share of stories and seen gameplay of Forever Freddy, and God, is it boring. What Forever Freddy mainly consisted of was jump rope and swing chains. Those were the 2 add-ons that Forever Freddy mainly ran. What swing chains did is sleeping survivors had a permanent 9% reduced action speed to repairing, healing, and sabotage actions, making games last longer. And swing chains just increased survivors' footstep volume by 50%. Both really good add-ons. Combine these 2 add-ons with the perks Hex Undying, making Hex Ruin, Have Another Life, Dying Light, and Thanatophobia, making pretty much everything you do even slower, thus making games last way longer than they need to be. Thankfully though, In the future patches, Forever Freddy did get nerfed into what he was for like the past 5 years or so. So, how did they change Freddy? Well, Jump Rope got changed to something entirely new, and Swing Chase wasn't changed just because it wasn't too crazy to get changed. After the release of Freddy, Undying got reworked to how it is today, Ruin got reworked to how it is today, except that 100% is 200%. Dying Light was the same just because, it wasn't too bad. Thanatophobia got nerfed a little bit, I believe. And Freddy's whole kit even got nerfed, just because of how powerful it was and how boring it was. Which, I'll admit, playing as the killer was pretty boring. So here's all the changes that pretty much happened to Freddy. Nerf. Added movement speed penalty while placing dream snares, reducing his movement to 4.0 meters per second. Nerf. Reduced the max number of dream snares from 8 to 5. Nerf. Reduced the maximum number of dream pallets from 10 to 7. Nerf. Using alarm clocks are granted full Nerf. Survivors using alarm clocks are granted full immunity from falling asleep for 30 seconds. This also included when the nightmare attacks them. Freddy just got these changes, and about a year later, all those changes just got nerfed to the ground. And for the past 5 years now, Freddy would be Sharp Hand Joe once again, Darn would be used a lot more. Overall, Freddy was just a lot worse. Now, he's obviously not as worse as he was for day 1 Freddy, like his first release in 2017, but this was still really bad. This was worse than Trapper bad, worse than Myers bad. Trapper had more value, he could just catch survivors in traps, shut down any loop, and Myers had pretty much permanent expose with Infinite Tier 3 as an add-on. What did Freddy have? Funny snares and funny dream palace that you're never going to use. But all of that would change in January 2025, where Freddy is currently at his best. It's now January 2025, and Freddy has finally got his most successful rework, and honestly probably the most successful rework ever. He got a whole remix on his kit, and how behavior got really creative with Freddy really shows that they have a lot of potential to change every single killer in the game to be something new, something innovative, something just like Freddy. They finally made him the Dream Demon we all know and love. His kit got changed to basically make him be the Dream Demon that we all love. Here's how he got reworked. Some of the base changes include Dream Snares and Pallets are both part of the base kit. You don't have to rely on add-ons anymore. You can tap the ability button to swap between Dream Snares and Pallets. Dream Snares are now a ground-based projectile. Dream Pallets can be ruptured from a distance, and Dream Projection can now be used on completed generators, and more. Too much to change in the Dream World, except for the fact that survivors in the Dream World are oblivious but hear his lullaby, that was the same. Survivors performing a healing action on a sleeping survivor or while being asleep are revealed with Killer Instinct. Survivors wake up when put in the dying state. This is all pretty good changes. Not a lot really needs to be said for the Dream World, so let's move on to his big part of his power. His Dream Traps. Dream Snares. When you press the power button to charge a Dream Snare, you can either release it or cancel it. These snares move at 12 meters per second and have a maximum range of 18 meters. These go through walls, follow slopes, but don't go off ledges. These add 30 seconds to an awake survivor sleep meter. And they also inflict a 12% hindered penalty for 4.5 seconds on sleeping survivors. You can only send a snare out every 7 seconds though. These snares are a lot better than how they are before. As they're a projectile, they move, they slow survivors, they make survivors fall asleep. This is a really cool twist on things. As Freddy is, he's a dream demon. His power should only work when a survivor is dreaming. And I think that when you press the control button to switch to dream pallets, you can enter pallet focus mode. You can tap the attack button to spawn a dream pallet at a valid location up to 24 meters away. Freddy can create up to dream pallets at a time. While in pallet focus, target a dream pallet within 24 meters and tap the attack button to rupture it. After a 1.5 second delay, The dream palette ruptures in a burst of blood. Rupture adds 60 seconds to an awake survivor's sleep meter. It injures sleeping survivors. Has a rupture range of 3.5 meters. Has a 1.5 second cooldown. Rupture cannot be cancelled. And dream pallets can be dropped by survivors and can stun the nightmare, but will explode in blood. So it keeps the same properties as before. And there's also improved visibility on dream pallets. Wow. This made pallets, or dream pallets, so much more unique than ever before. You're telling me that pallets can explode on Freddy's command? How cool is that? That's awesome to me. I think adding some uniqueness like that definitely gives Freddy more of a fun playstyle. You could run Pallet Exploded Freddy. You could run Forever Asleep Freddy. But they made him so unique because you can't even injure a survivor that's awake with this. It makes them fall asleep though, but you can't injure them. I think Dream Pallets are pretty cool now. But next up, we have Dream Projection. So Dream Projection is where it gets really interesting. This can be used on unrepaired, partially repaired, completed, and blocked generators at any moment. This can be used on sleeping survivors healing in the dream world, so Freddy can teleport to healing survivors. You can press and hold the ability button for more than 0.5 seconds to perform the Dream Projection. And while charging it, the Nightmare's movement speed is decreased to 3.86 meters per second. And also while charging, the Nightmare can see the aura of the husk to which he will teleport. So this makes Freddy able to position himself and be more in control. This can be cancelled early, but if you do cancel it early, you do get the full cooldown. And upon completing, stars within 8 meters are revealed with Killer Instinct for 3 seconds and gain 15 seconds on their sleep meter. Dream Projection has a 30-second cooldown.
Now, this is epic.
So you're telling me that Freddy can teleport to healing survivors to stop healing in the dream world? This is perfect. This should not be changed. This is an actual dream demon. This should not be changed. Behavior, you are doing so good. You're making a dream demon work as a dream demon should. You should be able to put survivors to sleep, and when they're asleep, that's when everything finally comes to effect. This shouldn't be abused early, and it shouldn't be like, you know, survivors can counter it so hard. This is the perfect version of Freddy. He has full control of survivors that are in the dream world. He has full control over survivors that are sleeping. Sleep is danger. Sleep is an actual presence now. And then we also have some changes with alarm clocks and wake up. Survivors can now use any alarm clock to wake up. It used to be a specific one, usually on the other side of the map. Using an alarm clock grants sleep immunity for 30 seconds. And when you do use one, it causes that alarm clock to go on a global 45-second cooldown, which prevents anyone from using it. The wake up interaction always takes 5 seconds now, and it also has priority over healing. So you could wake up a survivor before healing, so that you won't be like targeted by Freddy straight away. This is probably the most balanced version of Freddy that we have ever had. I think that Behavior did an excellent job on making Freddy what he is now, an actual dream demon, not Sharpan Joe. Although I do love Sharpan Joe, this is perfect. All the add-on changes here, which I'll put up right now, are also really, really good. So take a moment to pause them, read them, and just see, wow. Except for Blue Dress, a lot of these are really good changes. If you guys enjoyed this little deep dive into the history of Freddy, make sure you tell me what you think, like and subscribe, and I will get you guys in the next video, whatever it will be. I'll get you guys later. Peace out.